Delighted you all braved the weather to come join us. I'm Marjorie Kindle. I'm Director of Planned Giving here at the college, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. My greatest role here at the college is to work with the alumni and friends who make privately funded scholarships available. So this is a night that we see the fruits of our labors, where we see our benefactors here who have done so much to make scholarships available and to help students who otherwise probably wouldn't have the opportunity for a wonderful education as they're getting here at Aquinas. To open our program, I'm pleased to introduce our president, Dr. Ed Balog. Ed wears many hats here at the college. Since arriving here in 2000, he served as a professor of history, and then on to Dean of Faculty, Provost, Interim President, and now President. So Ed has certainly been integrated into the community, and we just are delighted to have him. Before coming to Aquinas, he served as Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dean of the Faculty, and Professor of History at Marion College in Indianapolis. He received his bachelor's degree and master's degree in history from West Virginia University and earned his PhD in history from the University of Illinois. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Balog.
Thank you. It sounds like the resume of a guy who can't hold a job, doesn't it? I'm never certain what the best place is in events like this to speak before the invocation and before you start to eat, or during dessert. Everybody wants to get started, and then everybody wants to leave. But I'll try not to take too much more time. But I do have some comments that I thought about what I would say tonight, and thought there was no way that we could avoid the economic environment in which we all exist. That somewhere along the way, it would be, I guess, foolhardy to try to ignore that the way most of the country did for quite a number of years. But I don't want to depress you too much, so try to hold your despair till I get to the good part. And there will be some of that. These are clearly, I think, trying economic times. Right? Every individual, family, organization, whether profit or non-profit, will make adjustments in both short-term and long-term activities to try to deal with what we're confronting. Financial crisis is now a worldwide crisis. It's going to have an impact on everyone in this room, regardless of how prudent you were with your own financial situation. In a sense, the broad social as individuals are much more closely aligned than we might initially think. Education has always been, and will continue to be, the engine of progress and the path to a better quality of life. And that's really why we're here tonight. And I think we have to remind ourselves of that, no matter what circumstances we happen to face in the economic picture. The question, though, is how will this current situation affect this and us? I think we all know the bad parts. It'll have an impact on loans, both student loans and college borrowing. It'll have an impact on revenue, both from endowment and from gifts. It could then affect enrollment. It will likely affect college costs in terms of insurance, meaning higher premiums and difficulty purchasing particular policies. Institutions like this have to carry multiple insurance policies, from slip and slide things to more major stuff. Insurance companies clearly have not been particularly responsible in what they've done with their assets, which means they're going to charge us more when we need the help. Without exploring this in too much more detail, I might say that it's all going to come down to one word, and that's affordability. Families may see some of their assets shrinking, home values, savings, equity investments, all of these are traditional sources of money to pay for college. Some of them have shrunk, some of them have actually evaporated. Pell Grants may actually fall short of demand because of policy disputes in Washington. We can only hope that those don't continue. Private alternative loans may be more difficult to obtain, since many of these loans have interest rates that are pegged to a very volatile bond market. How will we deal with these challenges? Well, Aquinas will continue to fulfill its mission of providing an affordable education to qualified students. We'll do this by being good stewards of our resources. We'll try to preserve our liquidity by holding the line on all but absolutely necessary expenditures until we see some trend develop. We'll maintain our financial commitments to all current and entering students. It's important to note that this will be done without endangering any of the principle of any of the scholarship endowments that any of you in this room have helped to establish. Future students will not be disadvantaged. Some of you in this room are still in that future group in the next 2 or 3 years. And despite the difficulties of raising money in these difficult times, we'll continue to work with Friends of the College to enhance the endowment, which is the surest protection against the vagaries of the business cycle. I might point out that hardly a day goes by that I don't get some notice across my desk about what some other institution is doing to try to protect itself against further implosions in the market. Of all places, Harvard announced that it was going to have a hiring freeze and put aside capital construction for a time. Harvard, right, has an endowment of $34 billion, and they have lost maybe $4 billion of that, which hardly makes them paupers. But everybody is concerned about how to deal with these things. Our endowment is slightly less, but we think we're being fairly protective and wise in how we use it. So participating in this event this evening is actually more important than it has been possibly in some other years. We have the opportunity to recognize and thank some of the donors who helped to make it possible for many of our students to attend Aquinas. The national atmosphere heightens our recognition of the importance of these scholarship funds and helps us to realize that despite the financial crisis, our Dominican heritage of service, education, community, and prayer will continue to motivate us to pursue a better quality of life based on principles of social justice. Is that my signal again? These values will continue to characterize an Aquinas education. I recall not too long ago, after some remarks I made to another event similar to this, emphasizing that integrity should be a hallmark of any education and would be a cornerstone of an Aquinas education. But someone in the audience stopped me after the talk and suggested I was being a bit too critical because of the implication that the United States was having problems with ethics and integrity. I really didn't want to argue. Well, actually I did, but I didn't have the time. So I replied that I thought we should all be aware of our own sense of integrity and not assume that it could survive and thrive in society if it were ignored. It was in part the lapse of a social conscience and sense of integrity that precipitated this crisis. But we will prevail, and we will combine what we learn from this event with what we learn in class to find ways to avoid yet another similar event. And to all the students in the room, remember this: you may lose some money. Somebody might even come and take your car someday if you don't make the payments. But no one can ever take your education away from you. And that's the most valuable thing that you are pursuing at the moment. So on behalf of the college, but especially on behalf of the students, I thank you all for who you are and what you do. And I assure you that we at Aquinas will continue to provide a quality, affordable education to our students. Enjoy your evening, please. The former Chancellor of the Diocese of Grand Rapids, for the invocation.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Gracious God, as we assemble here today, we trust in the words of your Son, Jesus. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I will be in the midst of them. We give you thanks for the abundant mercy and goodness you have bestowed upon us. We thank you especially for the benefactors who have made the scholarship program possible. We praise you for your goodness reflected in the generosity of so many. Bless them, we pray, for their commitment to our Catholic heritage and for their dedication to Catholic education. We pray too for the people who will study here. May they grow in wisdom and grace. May this be a place where gospel values are witnessed and where true faith is taught. Through your creation of nature, food is grown from the soil, Animals flourish on the land and fish in the waters. Tonight, bless that portion of these gifts which will be ours, and those who have prepared it for us, as together we say, bless us, O Lord, in these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty, Christ our Lord. Amen.
Department can wedge their way into more events on the Aquinas campus than the music department. So we're so thankful for this opportunity. And it gives our young people such a great experience in another venue, singing and playing for all sorts of wonderful people like yourselves. On behalf of the music department, too, I want to thank all of the wonderful donors and sponsors of our scholarships that are here. They help bring our students and help nurture them through the many, many courses and lessons that they have to take. Our first performer this evening is going to be Miss Mary Lulschutz. Mary is a wonderful pianist. She is a sophomore, there we go, on the Aquinas campus, and has been learning and performing this piece she's selected to do today since the beginning of the semester. And I know you'll recognize the tune when you hear it, but just let me tell you the French name for this tune, because it's so much fun to say. À vous dirai-je maman by Mozart. It is a group of variations on a nursery tune, which you might recognize as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So, Mary, step forward. Was anyone counting? How many variations? 12? Maybe. Our next performer, and thank you so much, Mary, wow. Our next performer is a senior on campus who will be graduating in May, Nicole Story. She'll be singing a bit of a story. She's singing from an opera, a very short opera by Giacomo Puccini, his Johnny Schicchi, which was performed on campus at Aquinas College back in the early 70s. Now, I was around back then, but certainly Nicole wasn't. So we're going to hear a fresh telling of the story of Loretta, the niece, it would be, of Johnny Schicchi. And I'll ask Nicole to come forward and tell us the story. She's being accompanied this evening by Bill Marfink, our staff accompanist.
Thank you, Barbara. My character, Loretta, as Barbara said, is a young girl who is pleading with her father to let her be married. She begins pleading, then actually moves to threatening that she will throw herself off a bridge if he doesn't let her get married. But then she ends with pleading.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much. Now we're going to go from one extreme to the other to Terry Beauchamp, Director of Athletics. It is my pleasure, Terry, to introduce you. Terry is an Aquinas grad who's been at the college since 1972. Last year, Terry was selected as the NAIA Region 8 Athletic Director of the Year. He's also received the Warren Reynolds Lifetime Achievement Award and has been inducted into the Grand Rapids Sports Hall of Fame. Best of all, Terry and Karen Beauchamp have 4 children who graduated from Aquinas College. Go Terry. Terry's going to introduce the recipient of the Peter White Athletic Scholarship, Amanda Strauss. Please welcome Terry Beauchamp.
This isn't the comedy portion of the evening. But I would like to thank the Advancement Department for allowing us to be a part of your evening tonight. I'd also like to commend the college's administration for yearly continuing to make the Aquinas experience affordable through its commitment to financial aid for our students and by working with our many donors with the privately funded athletic scholarships. Without your support, the Aquinas experience would not be possible for many of the students that are not only in this room but also on our campus. Aquinas has an outstanding past. Each year we have our Hall of Fame Gala event. I think we're on our 7th or 8th year. It should have been started many, many years ago because of the number of tremendous people that have come through this institution that have made their mark, in their communities and with dealing with other people. But tonight we celebrate the future, the commitment of the parents, the families, and the donors who are paying it forward. Open the doors for the students that are here tonight to go out and accomplish other great achievements. My hope for the students tonight is that they would never forget the help that they received and the many opportunities they were given. It's also the challenge that I give them that someday they would help others and give back to them the same opportunities that they have been given here at Aquinas College. We have a student athlete advisory board here at the college, which is composed of 2 members of each one of our now 19 sports teams. And 2 weeks ago, we were holding a meeting to determine what kind of service learning projects each team and our athletic department as a whole were going to tackle this year. And I made the comment to them, I said, guys and gals, the smile of the youngster in the elementary school where you're tutoring or where you're reading to those children, the homeless and the impoverished at the food kitchen that you're helping by serving them a meal, the elderly in the assisted living facilities that we are going out to visit, their smiles are all the same. You've brightened their days. And that's the challenge that we all have on a daily basis, and the challenge that the young people that we're celebrating here tonight have as they leave this campus. I'm supposed to give a little synopsis of our athletic department. Since I last talked to you approximately a year ago, we've had another tremendous year in athletics. They try to wedge Barbara McCarver's department into as many events as possible, and they try to wedge us out of as many events as possible. No, just kidding. But we've had a tremendous year in sports. We have over 350 student athletes. We added a men's lacrosse program this year as our 19th varsity sport. Next year we will add women's lacrosse as our 20th intercollegiate varsity sport. Along with our athletic training program, our numbers will be approaching 400. If I knew all this when I took over in 1978, I may not have taken the job because it has grown by leaps and bounds. But the energy and the enthusiasm that I get from the young people is the reason I'm still here coming to work every day. But in the last year, we recaptured our conference all-sports championship for the 9th time in the last 11 years, which is an accomplishment that we enjoy winning because it mirrors our whole program. We try to treat all of our student athletes equally. We finished 28th nationally in the National All-Sports Championship. We honored 38 All-Americans, more than half of those academic All-Americans. We sent individuals and teams to national competitions. Our men's basketball team made history by, in 2 consecutive nights, defeating 2 of our local rivals, Calvin College and Hope College, both games in overtime, to win. Not that we don't like those folks. We love them, but we sure love to beat them, too. But that was a first for us as we won the Grand Rapids Sports Hall of Fame championship for the first time. And this year, we have 2, again, very strong basketball teams that we'd encourage you to come and watch. This year has already had many highlights for us. Our men's cross-country team won the conference championship for the 7th consecutive year. They will be going to the national meet in 2 weeks. We also have 3 female members of our women's cross-country team that will be going to compete also. One of them is going to speak to you this evening. Our men's soccer team won the conference championship. They're 1 game away from advancing to the national meet. So far, since we put in our new turf field, we have won championships each year with that field, so I think it's our good luck charm. So we've had a lot of positive things happening. As I said, we have 350 people. We're proud of them all. We have one that's going to speak to you tonight. She is kind of the best of the best. Last spring, she was honored with the Sister Helen Louise Broger Award as our top senior, based upon athletic achievement, academic achievement, and her ability to do very positive things in the community. Amanda Strauss is competing again this year as a fifth-year senior in cross country. At the same time, she's student teaching. She started out at an elementary school, Spanish immersion program, and now she's at West Catholic dealing with the high school. So she's getting the full gamut, K through 12, about what education is all about. But Amanda has had many honors. She was an All-American in both track and cross country. She was an academic All-American in both of those sports. She has a 3.98 grade point with a Spanish major. She was a student ambassador for us here at the college. And I think it kind of typifies what a lot of our kids do. As I was coming in, two of our student athletes were leaving, and I said, where are you going? And they said, well, we've had a chance to talk to the donor of our award, but we have to work. I mean, they're out there, working part-time and taking full load. So we're very proud of them. But our speaker today, who will do a much better job than I, is Amanda Strauss.
Thank you. And as mentioned before, my name is Amanda Strauss, and again, I'm in my fifth year here at Aquinas, completing my student teaching this winter. I have thoroughly enjoyed my previous 4 years, both academically and athletically, and my athletic scholarship, coupled with my academic scholarships, made it all possible. The summer after my junior year at Lansing Catholic High School, I decided to visit Aquinas College. I had looked into the college and cross-country team and thought that I might like the school and the opportunity that I would have to compete on the team. I also looked at 2 other schools. All 3 schools had excellent academic reputations. I received academic scholarships from all 3 schools, and all 3 schools were similarly priced. So what made the difference? Aquinas College made the difference. First, I loved the friendly atmosphere when I visited the college. And second, and probably most importantly, I liked the athletic scholarship that I received to participate on the cross-country and track programs. The scholarship was the extra help I needed to afford Aquinas College. Other schools I looked at could not offer this athletic scholarship and consequently were not as competitive as Aquinas, which helped in making my decision. Plus, my parents told me that they paid for 12 years of Catholic education and it was my job to pay for college. With that in mind, I was looking for a school where I could receive the maximum amount of scholarship support. Without that athletic scholarship, I would not have been able to attend Aquinas College. This year, receiving the Peter M. Wegge Athletic Scholarship has continued to make it affordable for me to finish up my studies and athletic career here at Aquinas. Because pursuing a career in education typically takes over 4 years, I was nervous about affording my last year here. However, after success in both cross-country and track and a strong academic background, I received the Peter M. Wegge Scholarship, which, like the previous athletic scholarships I received, made it financially possible to successfully complete my student teaching and complete my collegiate running career. And for this, I am eternally grateful. While here at Aquinas, I have had the chance to enjoy the athletic side of the college experience. I have grown so much as a runner and consequently as a person during my time here. I have learned through many workouts and races that hard work and dedication can take you a very long way. I have learned that sometimes patience is what gets you through those days when you feel like no matter how hard you run or work, you aren't going to get anywhere. I have gotten through bad tests, good tests, bad news and good news, all by running with some good friends who I am lucky enough to call teammates. I have run the gamut of emotions during my college running career. I have cried in disappointment when we failed to qualify for the finals of the 4x800 meter relay at track nationals, and laughed with joy when I finished 4th in the nation in the 1500 meter race. There are so many fond memories I have from these past 4.5 years associated with athletics. The memories, the lessons, and the experiences were all possible because I received an athletic scholarship. The discipline and lessons I have learned through athletics has carried over to academics and extracurricular activities as well. During my time at Aquinas, as Coach Boshin mentioned, I have maintained a 3.98 grade point average while pursuing a bachelor's degree in Spanish and taking classes towards an elementary education and Spanish certification. On top of taking between 15 and 18 credits during the majority of my time at Aquinas, I also worked in the admissions office as a student ambassador and office aide, was president for 3 years of the East Area Residence Hall Council, and served as an extraordinary minister of the Eucharist at Bukowski Chapel here on campus. During my college search, I specifically looked for a school where I could participate in extracurricular activities and still participate in the sports that I loved. I found that at AQ. Here at Aquinas, you can be an athlete, hold a job, and maintain a high grade point average. Actually, most of the students on the cross-country and track teams have a job, and our teams have a history of a very strong academic showing. Not many schools can provide these same opportunities, which create a well-rounded human being. However, Aquinas does just that. Again, I cannot stress how grateful I am for the opportunities made possible to me through the Peter M. Wegge Scholarship and the other athletic and academic scholarships I have received. My time at Aquinas, both on and off the track and cross-country course, have helped shape me into the person I am today and provided me with countless life lessons. I have been able to foster my love for running and competing, made friends that became like family, and received a top-notch education. What more can a student ask for? Thank you for your support, and know that you are changing lives like you have changed mine. I would now like to introduce Chelsea and Allison Nix. Chelsea is a senior, graduating in May with a major in communication and 2 minors in German and studio art. She played volleyball for 3 years, is part of the Student Senate, a student ambassador, a Moose Cafe employee, and has been involved in various clubs. Allison is a sophomore, majoring in art education, and hopes to teach art in elementary school after graduating from Aquinas. She is also a student ambassador and vice president of AQ Stars, which is associated with the Make-A-Wish program. This spring, Allison plans to study abroad in Tully Cross, Ireland. Allison also played on the volleyball team and, like Chelsea, received both athletic and academic scholarships. Please help me in welcoming Chelsea and Allison Nix.
Hello. Thank you very much, Amanda. Again, I'm Chelsea Nix, and I'm going to tell you my story now. I'm the eldest of 4 kids in my family, and when it came time for me to pave the path for my family and choose a college, it was quite a selection process. I applied to 10 different schools in the states of Indiana, Michigan, and Florida, and upon acceptance, I decided that I needed to visit each one of them to make the correct choice. I was searching for a place that I could call home, and Aquinas did just that for me. By the end of my senior year, I had visited Aquinas 5 times before finally making my decision. The admissions staff knew me by name and asked me and would poke fun at me and ask if I was finally a student yet. I was drawn to the student-professor ratio, the private education and Dominican charisms, the community of friendly and intelligent students and professors, and the ability to get involved with as many things as I possibly could. Because I am indecisive by nature, I tend to take advantage of as many possible events, classes, internships that I can in order to find out what is truly important to me. The definition of a college education to me is one in which a person learns both inside and outside of the classroom. And thanks to all of you who have made these scholarships possible, I've been lucky enough to travel abroad in Germany, participate in service learning trips such as Haiti and the Dominican Republic, develop friendships with diverse social groups, listen to motivational speakers, participate in lunches with my professors, play a collegiate sport, and even audition for a play. I know that at another institution, I would have not been able to become involved in so many activities or possibly even heard of them all. I can honestly say that Aquinas has been one of the most rewarding opportunities that I have been presented with, and that it would have not been possible to even think about attending a private institution without the help of all of you. Not only have you helped financially, but through your time commitment, dedication to the Aquinas community, and also to your pursuit of a higher education. This is sadly my last fall semester at Aquinas, and like Amanda said, I will graduate with a communication major, a studio art minor, and also a German minor. This is the definition of a true liberal arts student, or also a very indecisive person. But I'm not worried about my future. I am confident that Aquinas has prepared me for what is yet to come. It is here where I discovered that people do not ask the question of which career will make the most money. Instead, people ask at Aquinas, how can I create a life for myself, utilizing my gifts and talents to the fullest? People at Aquinas want to become teachers, political motivators, artists, doctors, theologians, entrepreneurs, and tree huggers, or should I say sustainable business majors. But this list continues and goes on more and more. But these are only titles. They're titles of dedication and service. Aquinas develops well-rounded students, and I feel that we all leave Aquinas with qualities of each other. And it is only made possible through your help. I personally would like to thank each one of you who are here this evening. Thank you for choosing Aquinas. And I would also like to introduce right now my sister. She's a sophomore here. Allison would like to share her story.
Although Chelsea and I share the same last name, we're quite different. When she finally, I stress finally, chose to come to Aquinas, I thought it was the perfect fit for her. Aquinas allowed her to reach out in so many different directions, which helped her discover what she was truly passionate about. As for me, I knew what I wanted to major in, as well as where I wanted to go to school early on. I only applied and went to visit one other school besides Aquinas. I would come to Aquinas all the time to meet with professors, practice with the volleyball team, sit in on classes, and simply meet new people. I wanted so badly to become part of the Aquinas community. As my visits to Aquinas accumulated, my high school guidance counselors soon caught on, and there were no other excuses to go back because by now I experienced everything. I knew in my heart that I wanted to go to Aquinas, regardless of having the support of a sibling here. It was a personal goal of mine to receive a liberal arts education. Although I knew what I wanted, I began to question, should I go to a private out-of-state school? Is it reasonable, practical, or even possible for my family to send both of us to Aquinas? And can I simply manage to go to Aquinas? I knew what I wanted, which was a good thing, but I began to doubt that what I wanted was not attainable. I have known for a long time that I have wanted to become an art teacher, but after learning that the education programs in Michigan are 5 years, I started to question that as well. Could I go to school for 5 years and afford it? I began to get discouraged, but when thinking of all the wonderful opportunities that are available to education students at Aquinas, I got more and more excited about the programs that they offer here. Sophomores at Aquinas are able to experience an extraordinary amount of hands-on activities within their desired occupation. As for me, I'm going into art education. We are required 40 hours of observation in a classroom for our Introduction to Education class. That is the first education class we take at Aquinas, and we are immediately put into the classroom. Going into the classroom every week is something that I look forward to each and every day. I'm in a class full of beautiful and intelligent fourth grade students. I cannot believe that that is possible. Me, a sophomore in college, already in the classroom. It's simply amazing. Because of that, now I am 100% sure that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to teach art to children. My dream was made a reality because of all of you who support education. Financially, you have enabled me to continue on with my schooling in hopes to become a teacher. It would have not been possible without your help. It would have been extremely difficult and hard to manage. Because of your support, it is now easier to balance school, work, my social life, time in the classroom, and extracurricular activities. I can now focus more on my academics rather than picking up an extra job. Personally, you have all taught me how to give. Through all of you, I have learned how rewarding and important it is to help those in need. We, each and every student in this room, thank you for supporting us at this time in our lives. We are grateful that you, like us, chose Aquinas College. Because of your help, it is now possible for our dreams here at Aquinas College to become a reality. Thank you. Now I have the pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dirk Hoffius. He graduated from Colgate University and the University of Virginia Law School. He is an estate planning attorney at Varnum, Rittering, Schmidt, and Howlett. He has represented and donated to Aquinas College over the years and has helped clients donate to Aquinas as well. Mr. Hoffius has been on the board of the Grand Rapids Community Foundation, Meyer Gardens, and the Grand Rapids Public Library. He is currently writing a cookbook for publication by Vanity Press. Please help me give a warm welcome to Dirk Hoffius.
Do I really need to speak after listening to those students? Holy mackerel. There's some themes here, and one of the themes was pay it forward. Terry mentioned it, and you heard the name Peter Wegge. My mother died in 1996, and Peter Wegge made a gift to Aquinas in her memory, and it was for a scholarship, only it really wasn't enough for a scholarship. And so I called the school immediately when I found out what it was, and I found out how much it would do and how much it would take. And my parents had just been honored at Emeritus. My mother was in the Porter Hills nursing area at the time. And Peter wrote a letter to friends and suggested that they make a donation for this scholarship that he had gotten started. And my father and my brother and I have continued that. And so all of a sudden, this little gift by Peter has started to roll. And we've been adding to it. I think it's about 50 times what Peter got started at this point. And every time I come to one of these and listen to these students, you can imagine how it gets a little extra boost each time you do that and you hear what's going on. The background is, why would Peter have done that? My mother went to Rockford College, Simmons, and Katie Gibbs in Boston. My father went to Colgate, Harvard Law, University of Michigan Law. And what happened was that when I went to Colgate, like my father, I took a part of the core course, liberal arts core course, Changing Values and Institutions in a Modern World, and part of it was art, visual arts and music. And we had a course that tracked from cavemen to modern times, art, architecture, music. And there were slides and music playing. And I came back for that semester and told my mother about this class. And you can imagine, as you just hear how I'm saying it now, I was full of myself at that point about what as if they knew nothing. And so she comes to Aquinas to find out what Aquinas has to offer that is comparable to what her son is going through at Colgate, and finds a program from Sister Lois that was almost identical. And that starts her on an Aquinas roll. She takes a number of courses from Aquinas, and at one point we understand that she was the student that had taken the most emeritus courses, because she got rolling with Emeritus College and she just wanted to take more and learn more. It really was a significant thing in her life here at Aquinas. My wife and I have done some things for Aquinas as a result of our connection and coming here. We only live a couple blocks away, so we go by the school all the time. And one of them was some of the landscaping around the Jarecki building. And Claire Jarecki and Grace Jarecki were clients of mine, so I was well aware of that building and so on. And I kept whispering to some of the development people that there was an opportunity to do something with some of the design there in terms of additional plantings and so on, I think thought that would really enhance it. And nobody did anything. And someone from the development office then called and said, you know, Dirk, I think you're the one who ought to do it. So I did for my wife's birthday. She didn't think that was such a great birthday present. I think she had something else in mind. But within a few months, she was bringing people by to show what had happened. This place is catching. It really is a special place, and really something that we've wanted to be a part of and wanted to continue to be a part of. I have a talk that I have done since about 1990. I was chairman of the board of Kendall College of Art and Design, and I heard a graduation speech, and I asked the man who gave that speech if I could take his speech and convert it to something that I could use for lawyers. And he said yes. And I have been refining and rewriting that speech, and I did it this past summer at Fountain Street Church because they bring in lay people to talk and to show you how ecumenical Aquinas is. I did this at Fountain Street, and there are a couple of points that really apply. There's 10 points, but there are a couple that really apply. One of them is do what you love and love what you do. And the challenge for that is, how do you find, when you're in college, how do you find what it is you're going to love to do? When I got out of law school, I joined the law firm. My father was a prosecuting attorney and a circuit judge, and my grandfather was a prosecuting attorney and a circuit judge. You know, what do? They do litigation. So I started out at Varnum Rittering doing litigation. And I may or may not have ever been very successful at that, but I wasn't truly happy. And I had the opportunity to switch to estate planning, and I did, in fact, find what I love to do. It was something, it's a passion now. I really enjoy it. I love working with people. I love working with donors, helping charities like Aquinas College. People really care about the community that they are from and that they are a part of, and they want it to be better. And it's been an opportunity for me to do that and to help people with what their values are and what's important, what they care about with their children. I would have partners who would warn me, I'm sending so-and-so up to meet with you, but let me give you a warning, they would say. This is a tough cookie. We were just in union negotiations, and this is about the most difficult, hard-nosed person I've ever worked with. I would then meet with him and find this was the sweetest, neatest guy I'd ever seen. I mean, he was terrific. He cared about his family, all the things. When you do estate planning, you have the opportunity to really see what people care about and what their passion is. And so it has been just a wonderful experience for me to do that. And one of the things that I've been able to do at Varnum goes back to that art class that I took at Colgate. I also took an oil painting class when I was at Colgate. And I took it my last semester in case it had an effect on my application to business school and law school. And my father always maintained that was the last semester that I didn't get on Dean's List because I got a C+ in oil painting. And there was a good reason why I got a C+ in oil painting. I actually did just fine on the portrait and the still life and the things that were representational because they could help you enough in one class so that I could do that. But when it came to being creative, not having had perspective, not having had color, not having had all of those basics, I was a disaster. Because unlike Emily, who has received the scholarship in my parents' name, I didn't have any talent for this in the first place. So I was really struggling. But I get to Varnum, and we're looking at moving, and I end up with one of my partners. We're the art committee. The two of us. We have nothing but Michigan artists in our office. Any of you have been to Varnum and have seen the art that we have. I mean, it's just been a treat to be a part of and the opportunity to do that. And it has spread. My father was on the Calder committee. In fact, Nancy Molnix went to him and put the Calder committee together when she was working on that. And I've just been with Joe Becker from Aquinas. I've been on the Rapid Station Art Committee, chair of it, And if you get a chance, go down to the Rapid and see what is in there for art for everybody who passes through that bus station in our town. It really is a special, special place. The other theme in this talk, the best advice I ever got, and you can get it from what I've said so far, is learning is forever. I mean, it applied to my mother and it's applied to me. I remember that she subscribed to the New Yorker and she would give me her New Yorkers with Post-its. So I knew what to read and what I didn't have to read. She died in 1996. My father continued to get the New Yorkers, but they didn't get annotated anymore. So I'm now working hard trying to do the same thing she did and pass them on to Vicki so that she knows what's really good and what you can read. As I was working on the best advice this year to be delivered as that sermon at Fountain Street, I found something that this year is really, I think it really hit home to me. And it was about Abraham Lincoln. And I'm going to read it when I get to it. But you know, he never really was recognized while he was alive for what he had accomplished. Because he was in the middle of this thing. I mean, even the Yankees weren't very happy with him. He barely won in '64. But after his death, a critic, Horace Greeley, saw what Lincoln had done. And Greeley wrote about Lincoln. He was not a born king of men, but a child of the common people, who made himself a great persuader and therefore a leader by dint of firm resolve, patient effort, and dogged perseverance. He slowly won his way to eminence and fame by doing the work that lay next to him, doing it with all his growing might, doing it as well as he could, and learning by his failure when failure was encountered and how to do it better. He was open to all impressions and influences and gladly profited by the teachings of events and circumstances, no matter how adverse or unwelcome. There was probably no year of his life when he was not a wiser, cooler, and better man than he had been the year preceding. So I will end by saying, may we all in our own small way emulate the life of our most humble and our greatest president. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dirk. I think your words were very apt. I think those of us who have the privilege of working here at Aquinas College certainly get up every morning and do what we love and love what we do. And to a great part, it's because of wonderful benefactors like you and fabulous students like Amanda, Chelsea, and Allison. Thank you all so much for your part in the program and for everybody here for making the college as special as it is. Speaking of faculty and staff, I didn't want to forget my manners, and I do want to introduce to you some people who are new to both the advancement department and to the college, and many of these people are simply shifting around from other positions, as we saw Ed do as he moved up to president. So I'm going to ask a few people to stand. I'm going to embarrass them for just a second. I'd like to introduce you to these people, and at the conclusion of the evening, we all will be in the back of the room, so as you leave, please come by, say hello. First, I'd like you to meet our new provost, Chad Gano. Chad. Probably familiar to so many of you is our Vice President for Advancement, Greg McAleenan, or Mac. Now, in advancement, we have kind of a confusing issue because we also got a new Greg Meyer, who just literally, he and Sister Aquinas just flew in from Florida. So Greg Meyer, Associate Vice President for Advancement. Also, not new to the college, and a 2001 graduate, but again, new to the advancement department is Bridget Avery, our alumni director. And then two more familiar faces, in one from Emeritus College, Cindy Dorman, who is now manager of advancement strategies. And last but far from least, Kate Davis, also who's helping out as manager of advancement strategies. But Kate almost single-handedly created the magical evening we've had. So thank you, Kate, and welcome. And I don't know if Ellen Harburn is here too, but Ellen played a large, big role. And Ellen, are you here? Thank you so much for everything you did tonight. So please come and say hello. We're just all delighted you came out on this chilly, chilly night. To conclude our program, I'm going to introduce Dr. Paul Brewer, who is Associate Professor and Director of Instrumental Music here at the college. He's going to get us on our way with a little jazz performance. Again, we're among greatness. I did a little background check on Dr. Brewer, and he holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in music education from University of Central Oklahoma. But in addition to his teaching duties, he's been an active trombonist since 1970, but performing with certain celebrities such as Mickey Rooney, Ann Miller, Richard Harris, and Robert Goulet. We're lucky to have you here. Dr. Brewer will introduce his performers and their program. At the conclusion of Paul's performance, the evening will have ended as far as the formal program, but we do invite you to stick around and say hello and visit with the students and benefactors present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the Aquinas College Jazz Band, and we're going to take about 30 seconds or so to move the piano and reset a little bit. This band will be playing tomorrow night at 7:30 in the AMC over here, Kretschmer Recital Hall. We have quite a number of compositions we'll play. They're very varied variety. I think I just made a redundancy there. Any English teachers here? But please come. The concert is free tomorrow night, and these are three of the pieces we'll play, and I hope you enjoy them. This first one is composed by yours truly. It's called Sauntering. Caitlin Brooks playing the alto. Caitlin, say your last name. And we're going to continue. We'll do one more here probably, or maybe another one after that. This one features John LaCrosse on the flugelhorn or trumpet. What is it? Oh, trumpet this time. What is that thing called? The trumpet thing? A Day in the Life of a Fool, Black Hornet. Conclude with a piece by Sonny Rollins and an arrangement by Frank Mantooth. This is called Pent Up House. And again, we'll feature Katie on the solo here. Just very quickly, Tim Carew on the baritone saxophone, Alicia Oliver, you've already met Katie Brooks, John Lacrosse, Matt Gardner, Charlie Merkel, and Stephen back there one more time. Yeah. One more short one. If you want to hear more of this, tomorrow night, 7:30.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, and good night.